The House votes to reauthorize and reform a key government surveillance tool. It follows a dramatic showdown on the floor over whether the FBI should be restricted from using the program to spy on Americans. Tennessee is toughening its enforcement of illegal immigration with a new law requiring local police to arrest, detain, and assist in the deportation of illegal immigrants. It's the second state to do so this week. A Wall Street Journal report suggests an Iranian attack on Israel could be imminent this weekend. It's in retaliation for the airstrike in Syria that killed 7 Iranian military officers. Israel's military is gearing up for the potential conflict. It became the first religious charter school in the nation last year, but has since been tied up in legal battles that are trying to shut it down. The latest on Saint Isidore of Seville. And will Olympic Games athletes be able to swim in Paris's famous Seine River? Even after the Games Committee invested more than $1 billion to clean it, it's still uncertain. Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Stephanie Cox. The House of Representatives approved a bill renewing the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, despite opposition from the more conservative and progressive members of the chamber. NTD's Washington correspondent Luis Martinez brings us the latest.
The House of Representatives just passed the Reforming Intelligence and Securing America Act, a bill that would see the reauthorization of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, an intelligence tool that allows foreign intelligence agencies to surveil foreign nationals, even if those communications incidentally intercept American citizens' data. Let's listen to what House Republicans had to say about the reauthorization of FISA.
When it comes to the bill, obviously, if it doesn't have the warrant provisions in there, I won't support a bill that's going to continue to violate Fourth Amendment rights.
It has 56 reforms in it that are important, some real teeth to kind of get a handle on what the 3-letter agencies have been doing, spying on the American people.
The left flank of the Democratic Party also drew a line on requiring probable cause search warrants in order to intercept or incidentally intercept communications or data of American citizens. Let's listen to what House Democrats commented on this warrant.
I'm okay with the amendments that will guarantee that the FBI and other law enforcement and intelligence agency will not be searching through our garbage without a warrant.
I think it's important for us to pass the amendment that is supported heavily by many progressives as well as actual conservatives. It's a bipartisan amendment.
Earlier this week on Tuesday, Freedom Caucus members voted against a procedural vote to advance the reauthorization of FISA. On Friday, those same members voted in favor of moving forward with the procedural vote. I spoke earlier today with Representative Bob Good, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, and he defended the change in strategy.
It was a win to go to 2 years instead of 5 years, which is what we accomplished with voting against the rule a couple of days ago, because that means hopefully a new government, a new White House, a new Senate, and hopefully a House majority will have a chance to reform the bill even further to protect Americans' constitutional liberties.
The House of Representatives passed the Reforming Intelligence and Securing America Act, but it did not approve the amendments proposed by Representative Andy Biggs from Arizona that would include a warrant requirement in order to incidentally intercept American citizens' data. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Louise. And House Speaker Mike Johnson and former President Trump are expected to deliver remarks on election integrity at Mar-a-Lago this afternoon. The meeting comes after disagreements between Johnson and Trump on issues such as aid to Ukraine and the reauthorization of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. The meeting will reportedly involve a major announcement on election integrity and legislation to ban non-citizen voting. Federal law currently bans non-citizens from voting in federal elections. The event comes amid a looming threat from Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to force a vote to unseat Johnson as House Speaker. Greene has criticized Johnson for negotiating with Democrats on the recent spending bills. Despite the tension, it's expected that Trump will support Johnson, who defended him during the impeachment trials. NTD's Iris Tal will bring us more on Capitol Report at 5 p.m. Eastern. 2 Pacific. Tune into that. Next up, another Republican-led state is joining the fight to control illegal immigration by authorizing local police to help. With just months before the presidential election, Tennessee is the latest state with a new immigration law. It allows police to arrest, detain, and assist federal immigration officers in the deportation of illegal immigrants. This is in response to what some states are calling the Biden administration's lack of federal immigration enforcement. NTD's Dave Martin has that story.
The law would require law enforcement agencies to communicate with federal immigration officers if they discover illegal immigrants in their state. In signing the law, which begins in July, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee says he supports the state's efforts to have local law enforcement cooperating with federal immigration officers. Opponents say the law is broad and confusing and could embolden rogue police to target immigrant families. The Metro Nashville Police Department is also raising concerns about the law. A department spokesperson says the new law might erode the trust between its officers and immigrant communities. He adds it could dissuade some victims or witnesses from cooperating in investigations. The Tennessee law is similar to a law that was just passed in Iowa and the controversial Texas law that's winding its way through the courts. Other Republican-dominated states considering immigration enforcement laws include Louisiana and Idaho. This is Dave Martin for NTD News.
And according to the Wall Street Journal, an Iranian attack against Israel could come as soon as this weekend. Israel's military says they're preparing for it. The planned attack by Iran is in response to the deaths of a senior Iranian general and other military leaders. Iran says they were killed in an airstrike in Syria earlier this month. NTD's Kevin Chen has more on the growing tensions between Iran and Israel.
Israel's military has not claimed responsibility for the deadly strike, but said it is highly prepared for a range of scenarios if Iran retaliates.
An attack from Iran's territory will be solid proof of Iran's intention to escalate in the Middle East and stop hiding behind its proxies.
IDF spokesman Daniel Hagari said Israel has been attacked by Iranian proxies from nearby countries for weeks, most prominently by the Houthis of Yemen and Hezbollah in Lebanon. He said while Israel's defense systems intercept most of these threats, the country is still on high alert. Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant said that an Iranian attack on Israel would warrant an appropriate response. In a meeting with Gallant, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin assured Israel they could count on full U.S. support to defend against Iranian attacks. Meanwhile, the U.S. said Thursday it had restricted its employees in Israel and their families from personal travel outside big cities. The U.S. Embassy released a security alert citing an abundance of caution, saying government personnel are authorized to travel only between Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Beersheba.
The Consumer Price Index rose 3.8% last month, which is more than expected, as gas, rent, and groceries are proving more expensive compared to March of last year. NTD's Andrew Thomas speaks with Bankrate's chief financial analyst to discuss the costs hitting Americans the hardest and the Federal Reserve's efforts to tame inflation.
So, Greg, which items on the Consumer Price Index are hitting consumers the hardest and why?
Shelter has been a persistent trouble spot, motor vehicle insurance, motor vehicle maintenance and repairs, and most recently, electricity. It was up almost 1% just in the month of March alone and is up 5% over the last year. And those are the type of expenses that there's really no way around.
Which factors are hindering progress on inflation?
In the fourth quarter of 2023, we saw significant progress on inflation because we had a tailwind of falling oil and gasoline prices. We no longer have that tailwind. In fact, oil prices hit a 5-month high just a few days ago. So, now we're seeing higher gasoline prices. Not only does that impact the consumer price index, but if that persists for any length of time, that can bleed over into the costs of other goods and services, things that are reliant upon transportation, whether you're buying it in a store or buying it online, it has to be transported at some point. And even some service-oriented businesses, they're very dependent on fuel costs. And if that goes up, they ultimately pass that on to the end consumer.
Do you expect this lack of progress to continue or trend? And what's next?
We've now seen 3 consecutive months of inflation numbers coming in hot. And so that journey to 2% inflation This isn't just a blip. This is a trend now. And so over the next several months, we need to see a return to moderating price pressures across a range of products and services in order to feel like we're moving towards that 2% mark.
What can consumers do to cope?
Households long ago made those economizing decisions of what they could do without, or how to shop around and get a better deal, and using coupons and discount codes and everything. People have done that. So it's, right now, to still see inflation as high as it is and highest in categories that are necessities, that's why household budgets still feel squeezed as they do.
Great. Well, thanks again for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Another Biden administration agency moves to protect the environment and is going to cost oil and gas producers who are drilling on public lands. The U.S. Department of the Interior is announcing today that it's raising the price for leases to companies to drill on federal lands. It will also cost more for oil and gas producers to clean up their operations after the production is finished. The rule specifically increases the government's cut of profits from products produced from drilling operations on public lands. In a statement, the agency says this is the first rate increase since 1988. And in a battle of states' rights, Alaska filed a lawsuit against the Environmental Protection Agency. The state calls the EPA's restrictions on overdevelopment of state-owned land unlawful. The area in question is Alaska's mineral-rich Bristol Bay. The suit questions the agency's 2023 final decision prohibiting the use of the Bristol Bay watershed as a disposal site associated with developing a mine at the Pebble deposit. The Pebble deposit in the Bristol Bay area is reportedly one of the world's largest undeveloped copper deposits. It also has other rare minerals and is home to the world's largest sockeye salmon fishery. The Oklahoma Supreme Court recently heard arguments in a case involving the first religious charter school in the nation. NTD's Daniel Monahan speaks with the nonprofit legal firm Alliance Defending Freedom about the case.
The case is called Drummond versus Oklahoma Statewide Virtual Charter School Board. The school board approved the Catholic school St. Isidore of Seville as a charter school in June of 2023. St. Isidore thus became the first religious charter school in the nation. A charter school is a public school that is publicly funded but operated independently. Senior counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom, Philip Seckler, says the school's approval is great for Oklahoma.
It's important for Oklahomans because the board, in approving St. Isidore, made another quality choice available to families, and that is a Catholic education, and especially it's a virtual school, so it would be totally online. And so for families in rural Oklahoma who want a virtual Catholic education, it's a really good option.
But lawsuits against the school opening soon followed. One of the plaintiffs in a lawsuit is Reverend Lori Waka. Waka told an Oklahoma newspaper, quote, "You can't use people's tax dollars to promote or establish religion." Waka argues that churches already have the religious freedom to start their own schools if they choose to. Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond also sued the virtual charter school board, arguing that St. Isidore should not have been approved because it's Catholic. A key point in the case is a provision in the Charter School Act in Oklahoma, which states that a charter school has to be non-sectarian and also not affiliated with any religious group. But Alliance Defending Freedom senior counsel Philip Seckler disagrees. Seckler says not approving St. Isidore solely based on the fact that it is a Catholic school violates the free exercise clause of the Constitution.
That's basically treating religious people, religious organizations like second-class citizens, and it's putting them to a really bad choice. You can be in the program or you can be religious, but you can't do both. And the Supreme Court said you cannot put people to that choice. It penalizes the exercise of religion.
According to Seckler, the Supreme Court has made it clear that you cannot open up a program to private groups or private people and then draw a line and say you can't apply if you're religious.
The government shouldn't be in the business of being hostile to religion, but should treat religion and all other groups the same way.
Attorney General Gentner Drummond told a local Oklahoma station that he was confident after presenting oral arguments before court earlier this month.
My sense of it is that it will be difficult for the court to not grant my request.
Justices will likely issue a ruling before July 1st when funds are given out to schools. St. Isidore would like to start holding classes this autumn. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
When we come back, the Biden administration announces another round of student loan debt cancellation. NTD's Don Mott will have the details in his business brief. Will Olympic athletes be able to swim in Paris's Seine River? Even after the Games Committee invested more than $1 billion to clean it, there are still no guarantees. Stay with us to find out why. That and more after the break.
This is it, the culmination of everything our young athlete has worked for these past months. He's filled with determination. You can see it in his face. Is today the day he overcomes? And here we go. There is no defense in the world that will keep him at bay. He's on fire. Nothing can stop him. Watch him as he heads towards the goal. Oh, he's blocked hard, but that doesn't stop him. He's a warrior. He's back up. His eyes are on the goal. He's set up for the shot. He shoots. Goal!
Achieving goals like this is only possible with the monthly support of people just like you.
Please call the number on your screen right now and give your monthly support to Shriners Hospitals for Children so other children can reach their goals too.
If you give just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we will send you your very own Love to the Rescue blanket as a reminder of the love you're giving us. Because of monthly support of people like you, nothing is stopping me from achieving my goals.
And here we go. There is no defense in the world that will keep him at bay. He's going left. Oh, he fakes right and continues. Look at those moves. He takes the shot. Goal! Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or go to loveshriners.org to give right away. Your monthly gift helps kids achieve their goals. Goal!
When I drink it, the first thing was I feel the warmth in my tummy. It's kind of like gently radiating out, a kind of a very comforting warmth. And it was really good, actually. I felt much better. I did feel, actually, an effect. And I find that it is actually better when I take it regularly.
It's actually steamed and dried 9 times. And so it's really, the essence is really extracted.
Then the second time, I tried it really like on an empty stomach and just 2 teaspoons of it and over a few times. And wow, that was a big difference because suddenly I could feel, wow, I was very good energized. I didn't have to eat. I could work outside in the garden for a couple of hours and I still felt very well. And I was impressed by that. So I think it's a good product.
For the second time this week, the Biden administration is canceling more student loan debt. And Citigroup's first quarter profit fell 27%. Here's NTD's Don Ma with today's business brief.
All right, thank you very much, Steph. Earnings season have started for big banks in the U.S. Citigroup profit fell in the first quarter, it looks like, as it spent more on severance payments for laid-off employees and as well as setting aside money to refill a government deposit insurance fund. Now, net income fell to $3.4 billion in the 3 months ending March 31st. This is according to the bank earlier today. And that compares with $4.6 billion a year earlier. So let me just read you a quote right here. Last month marked the end to the organizational simplification we announced in September. This is according to the CEO in a statement. She adds that the result is a cleaner, simpler management structure that fully aligns to and facilitates our strategy. City expects a headcount reduction as well of 7,000 and a $1.5 billion in annualized savings from reorganization. This is according to the lender in its investor presentation. Now, moving on to Boeing. The company spent $500,000 more than it previously disclosed on personal private jet trips for top executives. Now, the embattled airplane maker Boeing disclosed it lavished an additional $546,000 on the cost of personal air travel in recent years for 4 top executives. And that is including CEO Dave Calhoun, who, by the way, announced last month that he's going to leave the company by the end of the year. Now, the spending increase estimate disclosed in a recent company filing brought the total cost to the company for the personal air travel for the 4 to $1.9 billion since 2021. And let me just mention a couple other people besides Calhoun. The other executives include CFO Brian West, Stan Deal, who recently departed as CEO of its commercial airplane unit, and Theodore Colbert, the CEO of its defense, space, and security business. And finally, the Biden administration is going to cancel $7.4 billion in student debt for 277,000 borrowers. And this is according to the White House earlier today. This is the latest move in a series of debt cancellations. President Joe Biden announced plans on Monday to ease student debt that would benefit at least 23 million Americans, addressing a key issue for young voters who support he needs, in fact, as he seeks re-election in November. Now, those plans include canceling up to $20,000 of accrued and capitalized interest for borrowers, regardless of income, which, by the way, the Biden administration estimates would eliminate the entirety of that interest for 23 million borrowers. Now, the latest round of debt relief affects 277,000 Americans enrolled in the SAVE plan, as well as other borrowers enrolled in income-driven repayment plans, and also borrowers receiving public service loan forgiveness. This is according to a White House statement. Thank you very much, Steph. That's all from me. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Don. Next up, having athletes swimming in Paris's famous river was a gamble for Olympic Games organizers. But even after spending around $1.5 billion to clean the Seine, they might have to change their plans. NTD's France correspondent David Vives speaks to Paris residents who are a bit skeptical about taking a dip in the river.
The Olympic Committee planned to rehearse the Games' opening ceremony on the Seine on Monday, but volatile weather decided otherwise. The event was postponed to June due to floods that made traffic impossible. Yet the river brings new concerns for the Games organization. The Seine is set to host the swimming leg of the triathlon and the marathon swim at the Olympics. But when we talk about achievements here, the first one for athletes might be simply making it out of the Parisian river in good health. Recent revelations by the Surfrider Foundation Europe have unveiled the worrisome levels of E. coli bacteria in the river. This prompted the president of Paris 2024 Games to contemplate the cancellation of the event in case of heavy rain affecting water quality. Bathing in the river has long been a lasting political promise, as several Paris mayors said they would bath in it. The Games organizers spent about 1.4 billion euros on a project to clean up the Seine and make it safe for bathers. Though the landscape of the river Seine is undeniably gorgeous, the color of the river isn't particularly crystal clear. Not enough for the Parisians to dare take a jump in it, at least.
The former mayor of Paris, Jacques Chirac, promised that one day he would bathe there. The current mayor also promised. Too bad for her. I would have liked to see that. But I don't think you can swim in there yet, at least not in the center of Paris.
Perhaps I'll bathe in the Seine in the future, maybe, even if I don't really feel like it at the moment.
Well, I'd rather see if somebody else survives the experience before even considering it. I'm sure people have done it even at its worst state, and, people can be surprisingly resilient, so maybe they even survived. I have heard of people also dying from jumping in, so...
Estanguet disclosed contingency plans, including the possibility of postponing the event to await better conditions later in the Games. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
Swedish furniture giant Ikea is refuting allegations from Greenpeace that the company is using wood supplied from ancient forests. NTD's Fiona G brings us that story.
Environmental organization Greenpeace is claiming that Ikea is using wood from ancient forests in Romania for its furniture. The furniture giant has denied these accusations. Old-growth forests are ancient forests with a large variety of tree species and sizes that support diverse ecosystems. The Carpathian Mountains in Central Europe are home to many of these forests.
Behind me, you have the Fogarach Mountains, the most iconic part of the Carpathians in Romania.
There have been issues in the past related to illegal logging in the area.
Illegal logging in general, it's a strong phenomenon still happening in Romania. We looked at the wood traceability system that is a public system created by the Ministry of Environment, and we simply used GPS data from the trucks that were loading wood from the forest and sending it to IKEA partners, to the furniture producers.
In a statement to Reuters, IKEA stated that all their wood is certified by the Forest Stewardship Council, or FSC for short, and that they undergo yearly inspections. The furniture company also said that the sourcing practices mentioned by Greenpeace were all legal and that they do not accept wood from protected old-growth forests. Fiona G, NTD News.
And lastly, Scientific Reports published a study last month that showed Brazil's prehistoric humans deliberately carved rock illustrations alongside dinosaur fossils. The region where the drawings were found is near the Valley of the Dinosaurs. The protected area is known for its abundance of fossils. According to the report, the artists lived in the area sometime between 9,000 and 2,000 years ago. Thank you for watching NTD Newsroom. I'm Stephanie Cox. Join Tiffany Meyer for the NTD Evening News at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Have a nice weekend.